Welcome to another episode of real-life haunted stories. If you love chilling tales and spine-tingling horror stories, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a scare. New nightmares drop every week. Stay haunted. So, let's start our today's episode. Story 1. The House That Whispers. There are houses that people forget. Homes that sit abandoned, collecting dust and silence, waiting for someone to return. But some houses never truly sleep. They whisper, and when you listen too closely, they whisper back. Ethan had never believed in ghosts. He had always dismissed the stories as superstitions, things people told themselves to explain what they couldn't understand. That was before Blackwood Lane, before the house. It had belonged to his uncle, a man he barely remembered. The will had been a shock. Ethan had inherited the crumbling Victorian home with its boarded-up windows, peeling paint, and an eerie stillness that hung in the air like an unspoken warning. He should have sold it. But curiosity got the better of him. And so, one cold autumn evening, he stepped inside. The moment he crossed the threshold, the temperature dropped. The air was thick, heavy, filled with the scent of dust and something else, something rotten. The house was quiet, too quiet, but as he walked deeper inside, past the decaying wallpaper and warped floorboards, he heard it. A whisper, faint, just beneath the surface of silence. Ethan ... His blood turned to ice. He wasn't alone. At first he tried to ignore it. Old houses made sounds. Pipes groaned, wood settled. That was all it was. But the whispers didn't stop. They grew louder. At night, as he lay in the dust-covered bed, they slithered through the air like a breath against his ear. "We see you." He would wake up drenched in sweat, heart pounding. The walls seemed closer in the dark, as if the house itself was alive, shifting around him. And then the knocking started. Software, rhythmic from inside the walls. Tap, tap, tap. Ethan pressed his ear against the old plaster. Silence. Then a scraping sound, like nails, like something trying to get out. Ethan stopped sleeping. Every night the whispers became more insistent. "Let us out. We're so hungry. Don't turn around." He tried to leave, but the doors wouldn't open. The windows wouldn't break. The house had sealed itself. One night, the whispers were so loud they felt like they were coming from inside his own head. He covered his ears, rocking back and forth. And then the closet door creaked open. A shape stood inside. Long, thin, wrong. Its head tilted too far, its grin too wide, and its eyes black, shining, hungry. You shouldn't have come back. The neighbors never saw Ethan leave. His car was still in the driveway. His keys were still on the counter, but the house was empty. The only thing left behind was his phone. The last recording played on a loop. Heavy breathing, scraping. Then, a whisper. "He's with us now." And in the silence that followed, a soft, rhythmic tapping coming from inside the walls. The house still stands on Blackwood Lane, still waiting. Sometimes on quiet nights, passers-by swear they hear something. A faint voice, a whisper. "Let us out." But no one ever does, because they know. Once you hear the whispers, you never leave. Story 2. The Smiling Man. There are things in the night that don't belong. Things that stand too still, grin too wide, and watch for too long. They don't speak. They don't blink. They just smile. It was past midnight when Daniel left his friend's apartment, heading home through the quiet city streets. The air was cold, the sidewalks empty, and the distant hum of traffic barely reached his ears. He liked walking at night, the stillness, the solitude. It was peaceful. Until he saw him, a man standing under a flickering street lamp about a block ahead. At first, Daniel didn't think much of it, probably just some drunk guy swaying on his feet. But then the man moved, not walked, not stumbled, glided, slow, smooth, like he was being pulled by invisible strings. Daniel's stomach tightened. Something was wrong. Then, under the glow of the street lamp, he saw the man's face. A suit, too neat, limbs, too long, and a smile. Too wide, too stretched, splitting his face, ear to ear. Daniel turned away, quickening his pace. He wasn't in the mood for some weirdo messing with him. But the moment he crossed the next street, the smiling man was there. Closer. Daniel's breath hitched. He hadn't heard him move, hadn't seen him walk past. And yet, there he was, still, smiling. His eyes, black pits, empty. His body, still. Too still. Daniel took a step back, and the smiling man took a step forward. Daniel's heart pounded as he turned and walked faster. Footsteps, not behind him, not beside him, but everywhere. Software, shuffling, whispering across the pavement. He glanced over his shoulder. The smiling man was closer. His head tilted too far, his neck cracking like a dry branch. The smile never wavered, never shrank, only widened. Then Daniel blinked. The smiling man was gone. But the street wasn't empty. Shadows moved at the edges of his vision, more figures, more smiles, watching, waiting, and then a whisper. Don't run. Daniel ran. His apartment door was in sight, a single flickering light above it. Daniel's hands shook as he fumbled with his keys. Behind him, the sound of footsteps. Too many, too close. He jammed the key into the lock, yanked the door open, and slammed it shut. Behind him, silence. For a long moment, all he could hear was his own ragged breathing. Then, a knock, software, slow. He turned to the peephole, and his breath stopped. The big smiling man stood on the other side, too close, too still. His smile was pressed against the door. His lips moved. Let me in. Daniel stumbled backward. The knocking didn't stop. Then it came from the windows, the walls, the ceiling. The house was surrounded by them, by the ones who smile, by the ones who wait. And as the lights began to flicker, as shadows stretched across the room, Daniel finally understood. The smiling man never leaves. And once you see him, he never forgets you. The next morning, Daniel's apartment was empty. The door was still locked, the window still shut. But on the walls, scratched deep into the paint, were the words, "Keep smiling." And in the reflection of the hallway mirror, a figure stood just behind you, grinning. Story 3. The Thing in the Well. Some things should stay buried. Some things should never be woken up. And when you hear a whisper rising from the darkness, calling your name, it's already too late. The first time Emma saw the well, she was 6 years old. It stood at the edge of her grandmother's property, hidden behind overgrown weeds and half-collapsed stones. It looked ancient, wrong. Never go near that well, her grandmother had warned. There's something inside. Emma had listened for a while, but now at 16, standing before it again, she felt the same pull she had felt as a child. Something about it called to her. Something beneath. Something waiting. She should have walked away, but she didn't. Instead, she leaned over the crumbling edge and peered inside. The darkness swallowed everything. Then, a whisper. Emma ... She ran. That night, the whisper followed her home. It crept through the walls, curled beneath her bed, slithered under her door. Emma, soft, calling, like someone drowning in the dark. She covered her ears, squeezed her eyes shut, but the voice was inside her head. And somewhere, beneath the floorboards, something moved. The days passed, but the whispering never stopped. No one else heard it. Only her. The well was calling her back. So one evening, just before sunset, she returned. A cold wind stirred the trees. The air smelled of damp earth and something else. Something rotting. Emma gripped the edge of the well. Her pulse thundered. She didn't want to look, but she had to. Slowly, she peered over the edge, and something looked back, deep in the darkness. A face, pale, grinning, wrong. The whisper became a scream. A hand, long, thin, dripping with black water, shot up and grabbed her wrist. She screamed and wrenched away, stumbling backward. The well was silent again, empty, but her wrist was wet. And when she looked down, she saw fingerprints burned into her skin. That night, Emma barricaded her door, but it didn't matter, because at 3:33 a.m., she woke up to the sound of dripping, and then a soft, wet thud. Something had crawled out of the well, and now it was inside the house. Drip, drip, drip. Emma's breath caught. She didn't move, but the thing moved closer. Slow, deliberate, a shape in the darkness. Its limbs too long, its grin too wide, its voice soaking in rotten hunger. Emma, I found you. The next morning, her mother knocked on the bedroom door. No answer. She knocked again. Still nothing. Finally, she pushed the door open. The room was empty. The sheets were soaked. A trail of black water led from the bed to the window. And on the glass, written in smeared wet fingerprints, were 2 words. Look down. Her mother stepped to the window, and when she looked into the well, something looked back. Something wearing Emma's face. Something still smiling. And then, ever so softly, come closer. They say the well on the old property is empty, but if you stand too close just before dark, you might hear it. A whisper, a giggle, a soft, wet, dripping. And if you lean over the edge, something might lean back, waiting, hungry, and smiling. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, to show your support, comment, to share your thoughts, or ask questions. And don't forget to subscribe to stay updated with our latest content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload.